Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Tony Zhang. I run the product strategy team here at OptionsPlay, and I'm excited to show you guys this video on how to elevate your options trading. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through the OptionsPlay platform and talk a little bit about how we designed it, why we designed it this way, and show you how to use some real live examples to do some trades with our platform. Now, this is a fairly introductory video to our platform. We're going to be doing a lot more videos on specific trading topics and best practices. So this one is going to be more of an overview to show you guys what we've designed with the modern user experience with options trading, coupled with a lot of automation that's designed to help you make some of the decisions a lot easier. And that's what we're going to show you today. So let's go ahead and get started. Before I get into the actual presentation, I just wanted to say that this video is for both beginners and users who are already currently trading options. If you are a beginner in options trading, I hope our platform inspires you and allows you to quickly identify opportunities to explore options trading. It's really designed to help facilitate the process to find strategies, analyze them, learn about them, so that you actually have something to look at when you're interested in taking a look at options, as opposed to just looking at, academic papers to teach you about options trading. We want to show you some real live examples that you can start playing around with and start using. And for those of you that have some experience trading options or are currently already trading options, this platform is designed to save you time. It's designed to also at the same time, in conjunction with saving you time, but helping you avoid making mistakes or costly mistakes. A lot of the things that you see in our platform was designed out of necessity as traders ourselves, and to help make sure that we don't make the same mistakes over and over again. So we helped automate a lot of the steps that it takes in order to place a trade so that we don't make some of those mistakes again. And we'll show that to you today. I'll just go ahead and get started and talk a little bit about what we're going to go over today. It's pretty straightforward. I really want you guys to understand three key things. Number one, what is OptionsPlay? Why should you consider using OptionsPlay? And lastly, how can you use OptionsPlay? The first two, what and why, we're going to use some slides to help us present what OptionsPlay and why you should use OptionsPlay. As far as how to use OptionsPlay, we're actually going to use the platform itself to go through some real life examples to walk you through how we use the tool, how you should consider using the tool, whether you're using our tool for ideas or you have your own ideas. There's lots of ways that you can use this tool, so hopefully we can shed some light on the different use cases so that you can kind of find your own way of using OptionsPlay. And then at the very end, what I do want to talk a little bit about is risk management, because I think this is a big part of trading, because a lot of people follow our ideas, a lot of people use our platform to trade different ideas, but the one key thing that unifies all of us is we want to be successful as traders, and the most important thing from that perspective is risk management. So I'll talk a little bit about that at the end of our webinar, to just give you an idea as far as what are some of the rules that you can use to have better risk management, because it is fairly simple. So we just want to go over some of those things. So let's start with what is OptionsPlay. OptionsPlay is a platform that we built as traders ourselves. And the best way to describe it, it's a platform that couples automation with a brand new modern user experience for options trading. And we built this because when we first started OptionsPlay, I, as a trader myself trading options, had 4 monitors on my desktop because there were so many different things I needed to look at in order to decide what I wanted to trade. I had screeners, I had charts, I had research tabs, I had the option chain, I had probably about a dozen other research tools on the side and news feeds. And what we realized is that this was becoming unsustainable and certainly not for everyone. So what OptionsPlay really is, it's 3 things. It's a screener, which we have trade ideas and watch lists for. It's a research portal. We use trend and strength analysis, which I'll talk a little bit in the next couple of slides. And then we have trading, which is instant strategy, where our platform is designed to provide you with a starting point for a strategy for any particular view. So if you are bullish on a stock, bearish on a stock, or even looking for income, our platform is designed to provide ideas for all of those scenarios, regardless of what your directional bias might be on an underlying stock. We'll always present different strategies that make sense for you. So let's talk a little bit about why you should use OptionsPlay. We built OptionsPlay for a few different reasons, but first of all, what we really wanted to do was simplify. I talked about having 4 different monitors on my desktop and a ton of different tools that I was using to make options trading decisions. We wanted to simplify it so that we didn't have to go through all these different sources to get the information we needed. This was designed to reduce the noise and the analysis paralysis that we a lot of times suffer from in these days. There's just simply too many sources for ideas and research that a lot of times we don't even know where to start and where to stop. So the point of OptionsPlay was to simplify the research process. But to do so, we wanted to make sure that we still kept quality and speed. And the reason for quality, the reason we need quality, is because in order to trade consistently, we need to have the same set of rules over and over again. And the best way to do that is actually through automation. We realized as traders that we were making relatively the same set of rules that we were going through every single day, and we realized that we can automate a lot of that. So that's really what drives behind a lot of the things that you see on our platform that helps make decisions for you, is driven by automation, not because we want to make decisions for you, but because we want to reduce mistakes. We wanted to introduce consistency in our analysis, and the only way to do that is by automation. So we'll talk a little bit about what are the things that we automate and why you should consider using them. And lastly, we wanted something that was fast. We wanted something that we would be able to make a decision as to what's currently going on with the underlying stock within just a few seconds and not a few minutes, and find the options play within a few seconds and not a few minutes. We want to shave all of that research down to just a few seconds, and that's what we're going to show you today, how you can use our platform to, within a few seconds, find the trade idea, within a few seconds, have a pretty clear understanding of why you want to trade that idea, and then lastly, how will you trade it, which option strategy are you going to use, down to a few seconds. That's really the goal of what we want to accomplish here today, and that's what we'll show you in a few seconds. So, how should you use OptionsPlay? It's actually quite simple. It's a 3-step process, and our platform is geared pretty much or designed to help facilitate the flow of your day with these 3 steps. Number 1, you want to find your ideas with the trade ideas or watch list functionality that we have. So we call this, what symbols should I look at? Which symbols do I want to pay attention to today? Number 2, we want to help you gain a directional edge with our trend and strength analysis. So why should you take a look at that stock? And then lastly, we want to show you how you can leverage that into your next options play. We want to show you how you can quickly identify whether there's an options strategy for the view that you have for a particular stock or ETF, or if there's none, we want to also tell you that very quickly. So there's a lot of times you pick a stock, you might be bullish or bearish on the stock, you go and look at the options, and the options just don't make sense. But a lot of times you might spend 2-3 minutes searching different option strategies until you realize there's no strategy here. What we want to do is help you gain that knowledge very, very quickly. And then lastly, we have a bunch of checklists, which I'll show you in a second, that's designed for beginners or advanced traders to help you quickly make sure that you avoid making costly mistakes. Mistakes that we've all made as traders, even including ourselves, such as sometimes we bought a call or sold a call and then realized earnings was the next day and we forgot that there was earnings, or forgot to look that there was earnings. So there's a lot of these scenarios that, especially when you're a beginner and when you're looking at all of these different data points in order to place a trade, it's easy to overlook some of these small things. So I'll go over how our platform tries to guide you and helps you from making the same mistakes that we made as traders. So this is the platform. For those of you that are new, it's quite simple, like I was saying, trade ideas and watch list here on the left, our security analysis here in the middle, and trading and income here on the right. So these three panels, like I said, we call it the what, why, and how of options trading, and that's what we're going to go over today. Now, before I get into the actual steps of how to use this platform, I'm actually going to spend a little time talking about the security analysis section first, because once I explain a couple of things that happen there, the trade ideas and watch list will make a little bit more sense. So the platform itself flows from left to right, because every single day when you come on, you want to know what symbols should I look at. So we have trade ideas, which are fresh ideas for bullish and bearish ideas, which I'll go over in a minute. We have our watch list, which you can use to create. We have pre-built watch lists for you, and you can create your own watch list for the symbols that you want to follow. Our security analysis page is designed to simplify your research. We look at traders that use trading platforms, and they have 3 or 4 different monitors on their desktops. They're doing technical research, they're doing fundamental research, they're looking at news, they're looking at other alternative sources of data, and we find it very, very complicated. And we find that people tend to just look for different places to find the views that they want to support. So what we want to do is simplify that and present it all to you in a simple to understand a methodology, which I'll explain in 1 second. And then once you have that underlying view of the stock, how do you leverage that into an options play? So trading will give you trade ideas. So this is really for those of you that are looking to speculate on direction. You have a bullish, bearish, or perhaps even neutral view on a stock. How can you leverage that into a profit or speculative bet, if you will? And then the other half of options traders is income traders. So this is where the majority of actually options traders are. They're selling cover calls, they're selling puts. These are the types of strategies they're doing for their portfolios. The vast majority of you are trading these types of strategies. So we've segmented the two between trading and income so that you can have a slightly different experience, but it's all still designed to provide you with instant strategies that make sense for your given outlook, which I'll go over in a second. So when you first step in every single day, you generally want to start with trade ideas and watch lists, but we'll come back to that in 1 second. What I really want to do is spend a couple of minutes just discussing and talking about what's included in our security analysis panel, because it's really important to understand what our philosophy is when it comes to security analysis, because it will help you better understand how we derive our trade ideas, how we look at securities as a whole, how we come up with our daily plays. And because it's all fundamentally driven off of our security analysis panel. So when you first type in any symbol, you'll notice here in the upper right hand corner we have a 1 month and 6 month trend indicator. This is designed to give you a quick snapshot of what's currently going on for both the short and long-term trends of this particular stock. And we actually plot it for you historically below the chart, so you can see how long the stock has been in that bullish trend, whether it started a week ago or it started at 10 weeks ago. And this allows you to know how mature that trend has been. The second indicator you might notice is what's called the technical score. This is a relative strength indicator, and it scales from a scale of 1 to 10. 10 are the strongest stocks in the market, 1 are the weakest stocks in the market. And this is an extremely important thing to understand, because relative strength is what drives institutional investors. An institutional investor who's benchmarked against, let's say, the S&P 500, he's essentially paid to try to beat that benchmark. He's only going to try to buy stocks that are outperforming his benchmark, the S&P 500. And that's really what the relative strength gauge is telling you, is how strong is this stock compared to the overall market. 7 to 10s are the strong stocks. These are the stocks that are outperforming the market. Stocks with scores of 1 to 3 are the ones that are lagging the market. These are the weakest stocks in the market. Those are the ones that institutional investors would always sell or try to get rid of from their portfolios so that they can continue to beat their benchmark. So it's really important to understand relative strength from the perspective of an institutional investor. So we use these two indicators, the relative strength and the 1 month and 6 month trend indicators, for the basis of a lot of our analysis. And The reason we do this is because we believe in efficient markets, meaning all news, all fundamentals, all product announcements, all the things that are currently out there that you can analyze we believe is immediately reflected in the price. So whenever you see an earnings announcement comes out, whenever you see a news announcement come out, you'll see the price react almost instantly, because that's why we believe that price action already encompasses all the underlying information about the stock. So that's why we use price action as a gauge for where we truly believe the stock might be headed. So we use the 1 month and 6 month trend in conjunction with the technical score to give you a very quick idea as far as what's currently going on with the trend. Let's take a look at a different stock, SLG. This is a real estate stock. As you can see, a very different picture. 1 month and 6 month trends are bearish. This lets me know that the trends are currently trending bearish. Notice that this trend started here on January 4th, so relatively recently. It's got a technical score of 2, which tells me this is a weak stock. This is a stock that's underperforming the market. This is not a stock that a lot of people are buying. If anything, these are the types of stocks people are shedding from their portfolios. So weak stocks tend to continue going lower, strong stocks tend to continue going stronger. So this is where you can use these two indicators to very quickly understand what's currently going on with the stock. Now, the security analysis panel also includes a few other things that's important. We have support and resistance levels, so you can see where that next support and resistance, it's already pre-drawn for you on the chart. And we have important information such as earnings or dividends. So SLG reports earnings tomorrow. That's an important thing to know when you're trading options. This tells you right there, letting you know when the next earnings and when the next dividend is going to be paid, and then price action here at the bottom. So if you're unfamiliar with technical analysis, or you're not quite familiar with how to read a chart, our indicators are designed to help you with that process. So once we have an idea as far as how our security analysis works, which is really driven off of trend and strength, then we can go back to our trade ideas and watch lists, which will make a lot more sense. So for trade ideas, as you can see, we have it divided between bullish and bearish. When you click on one, let's just take a look at bullish, and let's look at some of the large cap names. One of the things that you might want to do is sort your trade ideas or watch list by the score. That's this technical score that we're talking about here. So this allows you to rank all the stocks in the bullish or bearish trade ideas or watch list by that relative strength. So I can quickly see which stocks are the strong stocks in the market, and as you can see, because they're green across the board, that's telling me that these are stocks not only that are strong, but they're also in a bullish trend. So that's the fundamental basis behind all of our trade ideas, is that both the 1 month and 6 month trends must be bullish. Now, if you are a trend follower, meaning you typically just like to go with the trend, you should probably pick trade ideas that have a relatively strong score. These are stocks that are strong stocks and in bullish trends. So for example, Tiffany is a good example here. Strong stock. 1 month and 6 month trends are bullish. As you can see, it's been bullish for quite some time, since November, I would say. It's been bullish and continue to grind higher. These are your trend following stocks. If you pick something on the lower end of the spectrum with a low score, these are what I call contrarian traits. These are stocks that have been beat up. They've probably bottomed a little, and they're starting to turn bullish again. So for example, Enbridge, this is the stock where the trends have started to turn bullish again from the fact that this is a relatively weak stock. Same thing with Spectra Energy. Relatively weak stock, but as you can see, it bottomed here in, looks like around December. It's starting to make some higher lows, and starting to trend higher and starting to break some of those resistance levels. So if you like to try to pick stocks near their bottoms, you want to trade these trade ideas that have low scores. If you're a trend follower, you want to try to find something with a relatively strong score. And you can do the vice versa for bearish. Our watch lists are set up the same way. So I recommend everyone, when you start off your day, sort the sector watch list by score, because this gives you an idea as far as which sectors are strong, which sectors are weak. That helps you set up your day, helps you pick individual stocks, because if you're bullish, you generally want to pick strong stocks in strong sectors. If you're bearish, you want to pick weak stocks in weak sectors. So how do you define that? That's really what our watch list is designed to do. Here we have utilities and real estate are the weakest sectors currently in the market. And we have energy and consumer discretionary on the other end. Well, actually, financials, technology, energy, and consumer discretionary are all in that strong bucket. And we have utilities and real estate on the weaker side. This is designed to help you very quickly decide which sectors are strong, which sectors are weak, so you know where to look. And if you want to drill down into each individual sector, let's say you think consumer discretionary is pretty strong, we actually have that set up for you as well. So you can see every single stock in the consumer discretionary sector and see which ones are strong. So let's say here's Marriott. Here's a strong stock in a bullish trend, and I don't even have to open the stock in order to see it. My watch list and trade ideas is already color-coded and ranked for me so that I can very quickly see which stocks are strong, which stocks are weak, and which stocks are turning around. So H&R Block, as you can see, a score of 2, which means it's relatively weak, but as you can see, because it's green across the board, that means the trends have started to turn bullish. So as you can see, the stock bounced higher today, and the trends went bullish. So this may possibly be the start of a higher trend. This is where you might want to do some additional research on the fundamentals if you are a long-term fundamental trader. But if you're a short-term trader, price action a lot of times is enough to decide, hey, maybe something's going on with this stock where it's starting to turn around, and our indicators are starting to tell us that. So that's really why you can use the trend and strength indicators in conjunction with each other and very quickly grasp what is currently going on with that stock. So now that we've covered what symbols should I look at, why should I look at it with the security analysis panel, let's start taking a look at how can I trade it. Now I'm going to go back to Apple here for 1 second, because this is the stock that everyone's most familiar with. And as you can see on our screen, you have 2 options at the bottom of your chart. You can just click on I'm bullish, or you can click on I'm bearish. When you click on I'm bullish, you'll be presented with 3 trading strategies here on the right that allow you to take advantage of a bullish move on Apple. If you click on I'm bearish, we'll now show you 3 bearish strategies. So if you feel that Apple's going to go lower, we'll show you 3 strategies that will take advantage of Apple going lower. And this is designed to give you a starting point. So if you're new to options and you've never traded and you don't know where to start, this allows you to compare something as simple as buying the stock to buying a simple call option, which is the easiest, if you will, of option strategies. And for those of you that have some experience trading, comparing that to a call vertical. These strategies are designed as starting points for you, and I want to point out that these are not recommendations. These are not saying that these are the best strategies. These are simply a good starting point if you're bullish on Apple. We always default to strategies that are 45 days out, because most people trade options anywhere from 1 to 2 months out. So we choose just right in the halfway mark, around 45 days out, right where you have about, weekly expirations out to about 7 weeks. So those are the expirations that we typically choose. And the strike prices are basically at the money strikes that are designed as a good starting point for most people. So once you have these 3 strategies, the way we built this was to allow people to easily compare different strategies side by side, both for educational purposes, but also if you're an advanced trader, you're going to want to compare things like, should I trade the March calls or should I trade the February calls? That's not a simple strategy to compare when you're looking at chains. So for those of you that are new to options trading, or for those of you that have been trading for a while, you might be familiar with a page that looks like this. It's really difficult to compare a February to a March on a page like this, or compare one strike to the next. It's really impossible. You have to crunch a lot of numbers in your head, or memorize it, or put them somewhere else, and then come back and crunch more numbers in order to compare them. We wanted to create a platform that allows you to really compare 3 strategies side by side. So most platforms that give you these types of strategies will usually give you a breakdown that looks like this, where you have max reward, max risk, probability of profit, your break-even numbers, days to expiration, things like that. But what we realize is that, especially when you're starting out, it's really impossible to compare a strategy that has unlimited max reward to a strategy that has limited max reward. To compare these 3 strategies side by side and compare them apples to apples, it's next to impossible. So that's why we created the OptionsPlay score. This is really designed to give you a true risk to reward metric, because you can't calculate risk to reward for something with unlimited reward. So we wanted to calculate what your risk to reward is within a reasonable range of the stock trading, and then allow you to compare them side by side so that you can know what is the potential reward I'm getting for every unit of risk that I'm taking, and compare them side by side. That's really how we devised the OptionsPlay score. And when we talk about options trading, some of you that have studied options or have traded options for a while, you might be familiar with what's called option Greeks. So we talk about delta, we talk about theta, we talk about vega, which are probably the 3 most important Greeks to understand. And I'm not going to get into what those mean just yet on this video, but the thing about a lot of these platforms is, if you know what a delta is, and a platform will tell you this call has a 0.5 delta, you still have to go and crunch those numbers in your head to see how much is my option actually going to increase in value if the stock goes higher. So we wanted to take all of that out of the equation. Forget having to do your own calculations. Forget having to do a lot of the research that you have to sift through in order to decide whether a stock's bullish or bearish. We do a lot of that work for you. So Apple's trading at 177 right now. Let's say you think Apple's going to blow away earnings and it's going to go to $190 by expiration. You just type in that amount and we'll show you exactly what each strategy will perform. So you don't have to know that this call has a 50 delta, and if the stock goes up $20, I'm going to get $10. You don't have to know any of that. You don't have to calculate any of that manually. We do that for you. Not only do we calculate it for you, but we put 3 strategies side by side so that you can definitively say, this strategy here on the right gives me the highest return because this stock gives me a 7% return. This the call gives me 100% return, and this call vertical gives me 136% return, which certainly is more attractive if the stock does go higher. On the same token, what happens if I'm wrong? What if Apple blows earnings and misses on earnings? Here, I'm losing $1,200 on if I bought the stock. If I bought this call, I'm losing $750. If I bought this call vertical here, even if I don't know what it is, I'm only losing $633. That's why it has a higher OptionsPlay score, because if it goes against me, I'm actually risking less money. But if it goes in my favor, I'm actually going to make even more money or a higher return. So this is exactly why, you can do all of this work yourself. You can learn delta, and you can learn all of implied volatility and do all of these calculations on your own. But with the modern user experience, you no longer need to. I get a lot of people ask me, why don't we have things like implied volatility and delta and Greeks and all of that stuff? And I say to them, you don't need them anymore, because the platforms today can actually help do all of that work for you. So keep that in mind when you look at this platform and try to compare it to others. You can't really make the comparison, because we really take it one step further by doing a lot of that work for you and taking away that calculation and manual process out of your day, so that we can just tell you exactly what you're looking at and what the metrics look like without you having to do any of those calculations. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about, for those of you that have traded options, a little bit about how you can use our platform to change, because like I said, these are starting points. These might not necessarily be exactly what you're looking for. You might want to trade longer dated expirations or shorter dated expirations or different strike prices. So what we did is we built a platform that allows you to do all of that without ever having to touch a page that looks like this, right? Because if you want to change from March to April here on this page, or if you want to change the strikes on a vertical, it's really not a great user experience. So what we wanted to do is, here we're looking at the March 16th 175 by 195 call vertical. So let's say you wanted to move all the strikes up one or move all the strikes down one. You just have to click on the left arrow to move all the strikes down one. You can click on the right arrow to move all the strikes up one. Or if you want to change the expiration just by the click of a mouse, you can move both legs out to the Aprils or maybe change it to the Februaries. This is all done with just a single click of the mouse, and we've designed this so that it's really easy to navigate. So if you want to make the spread narrower, you can just by the click of a mouse very quickly do that without having to pull up a chain or go through the strike drop downs in order to do that. But you can still do it if you want to. So if you want to pick an expiration manually, you want to pick a strike price manually, we all do that. And one of the things that we do on our strike drop downs that it's a little different than ours is, number one, we give you the premiums so that you don't have to go searching for what the premiums are. It's listed right next to the strike prices. We also let you know what the one standard deviation move for that expiration is. So we're looking at the March 2nd expiration. We'll tell you the one standard deviation is somewhere between 162 and 165 and somewhere between 190 and 192 and a half. So for those of you that are selling credit spreads or selling covered calls, you can use this to very quickly gauge where the one standard deviation move is for each individual expiration. So once you've, and lastly, for those of you that are trading more advanced trading strategies, we have what's called a strategy constructor. So a lot of people ask me, how do I trade credit spreads? How do I trade iron condors? How to trade all of those things? You can do that through the strategy constructor. Click on the neutral strategy. You can set up a condor, and you can change the width and the wingspans just by the click of a mouse. And if you want to move the strikes up one or down one, you can just do that. Very, very easy to navigate and set up these multi-leg strategies if that's what you're looking to do. So let's go through an example of, let's say I'm looking at Apple, I'm bullish on this particular stock, I've found this vertical that I want to trade. How do I actually go about doing this? I suggest, regardless of whether you're new, whether you've been trading for a while, click on the Trade tab. We have what's called a strategy checklist. I highly recommend for those of you that are brand new to go through the checklist every single time you place a trade, because we're just checking for some of the beginner mistakes that people tend to make. It's easy to flip a strategy, call to put or buy to sell. We want to make sure that you're definitely trading the trade that you want. So we're checking your strategy against, are you trading with the trend of the stock? Are you trading with the trend of the market? So both things here look good. We check the OptionsPlay score, which is looking at the risk to reward of a strategy. So if you see something with a really low OptionsPlay score, that means you have really poor risk to reward, and maybe this is a trade that you want to stay away from if you're brand new. We check for earnings, because this is one of the things that we see a lot of beginners tend to overlook, is understanding if there's earnings between now and expiration. It's an extremely important event to understand. And lastly, we check for liquidity. So we use the bid-ask spread to calculate how liquid is this option. In this particular case, this is pretty liquid. So everything here checks out. Everything looks pretty good. You've pretty much got green across the board, which looks great. This is exactly the type of trade that you want to be looking for if you're new to options trading, because this just means that everything is sort of aligned in your favor and the probabilities are working in your favor. It doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to be profitable, but at least you have a lot more things going for you than not. So once you've honed in on a trade and you're ready to place that trade, we offer the exact details on how to enter this trade into your broker's platform. We give you the bid and ask price of that spread or the option that you're looking at. So if you're trying to place an order, we'll show you where you can potentially try to place that order. And you have the exact details with how to enter that into your broker's platform. So that covers how you can use our platform for trading. So if you have a bullish or bearish idea, you can very quickly get to your starting point, make modifications if you need, use the P&L simulator to see exactly what your expected return of each strategy is, compare them side by side, and know definitively exactly which one you're going to trade before you place a trade, and being confident that you know what the outcome will be if the stock goes higher, if the stock goes lower, so that you understand your risks and your potential rewards before you get into the trade and not after. Now, let's cover the income side. So, up till now, I've been talking about how to use our platform to use options to speculate, meaning you think the stock's going to go higher, you think the stock's going to go lower, or you think the stock's going to stay where it is. Using the trading tab, you can set up a variety of trades very quickly and decide what your trading opportunity is. However, there's a very large portion of you that own stock. You probably have long-term investments sitting in your account, and one of the greatest ways to use options is to generate income, and you can use this using cover calls and short puts. You can do this for calls for stocks that you already own. You can sell a cover call on to generate some income, and for stocks that you don't own but you want to own, you can actually sell a put as a way to generate some income. So these are two very popular strategies. Like I said, about 40% of users are trading this strategy alone. So I do want to point and spend some time on the income tab, because it's really important that you understand how we help you find the income trade that suits you. So before you get started with any income trade, it's important to just have a watch list set up with stocks that you own or stocks that you want to own, because it will make the income tab a little easier to navigate. Now, as you can see at the bottom of your income panel, there's a button that says Income Settings. Now, income strategies like cover calls and short puts, it's not a one-size-fits-all strategy, meaning each one of you will have different preferences, and I actually have a whole separate webinar and video just on this topic alone, so I'm just going to go through this very quickly. But each one of you have different preferences, and it's important just to put in those settings so that the cover calls and the short puts that we represent to you are based on your personal settings. So you can set whether you're typically used to selling 1 month calls or 3 month calls. You can set the time frame. You can also set your risk tolerance. So for example, for myself, I choose short term because I'm fairly active in my trading, and I choose optimal because I'm not too aggressive or too conservative in my risk tolerance. And you can actually set calls and puts separately from each other. So I like to get a little aggressive when I'm selling puts because I generally want to own the stock. So I can set puts as aggressive and I'll set the calls as optimal. Once I do that, for any stock that I type in or click on, it will show me cover calls and short put opportunities. That's driven off of my individual settings. So IBM here, it's trading at 166. If you own IBM, you can click on yes, you own shares of IBM, type in the number of shares you own, and we'll tell you how many calls you can sell, exactly what your premium that you're going to receive. It'll actually even explain it to you in plain English. So for those of you that are new, this is extremely important for you to learn what a cover call is. It will actually explain it to you in plain English, tell you what the yields are, so that you can very quickly decide, is this a cover call I want to sell or not? And for those of you that are selling puts, you can click on no. It will then give you the put strategy. And again, this is all driven off of your own settings. So the call and put we decide or we pick out for you is driven off of your own individual settings. Once you've decided that this is a call or a put that you want to trade, you can then click on the trade button again. And again, we have a strategy checklist. This is designed to, again, go through a different checklist for income strategies. And what you really want to look for is as many greens as possible. And if you have a bunch of reds, that's just giving you a warning that, hey, this might not be the trade that you want to make. And lastly, the one thing that I want to share with you, especially for those of you that are new, this is a really cool feature that allows you to kind of test things out without risking any real money. On any strategy that you're looking at, there's a blue share button for each strategy. You can click on that. So if let's say this is the call vertical that I want to trade on IBM, let's say you're brand new and you don't want to enter this into your real account yet. You just want to see how it works out. You can click on the share button. You can use this either as a tool to kind of share the trade with your friends, share the trades with someone that you want to ask a question about, maybe even send it to us if you have a question about a trade. So we have a few different options for you to share this trade. You can email it, you can post it to Twitter or StockTwits, or this last button, the link button, that kind of saves the trade for you. If you save this trade, what it does is it generates two links, an image link and the actual link of the trade. And you can either save this link, but if you don't have to, because every single trade that you send out, either through share or through StockTwits or you save, is saved in your profile. So you can actually go to your profile. There's a link here that says shared trades on the left, and you'll have a list of all the trades that you've essentially saved and you're trying to track. And you can click on the link, and what that will do is it will bring back the trade. So if you come back to this trade a week later, it will actually not only tell you what trade it was, it will actually track the P&L of the trade. So in this particular case, the P&L here is 0 because I just started this trade a few seconds ago. But if you come back a week from now, it will actually show you what the P&L of that trade is. It's an extremely powerful way to kind of paper trade if you're new to options trading without having to risk any real money. So if you are following some of our trade ideas, if you're using some ideas that you have on your own and you just want to test the waters or test the strategy, use this tool to be able to save a trade and track how it does as it goes between now and expiration. So with that, just a quick recap. When you log into our platform, make sure that you take a look at the trade ideas and watch lists. Trade ideas are fresh ideas for you every single day. I recommend that if you look at watch lists, at the very least, look at the sector watch list. This gives you an idea as far as which stocks are strong, which stocks are weak very quickly. And then use the equity analytics panel to help you simplify your research so that you're not looking at 10 different sources of fundamental, technical, and news research in order to decide am I bullish or bearish on the stock. The relative strength and the trend indicators are really powerful indicators to give you an idea as far as what the current direction of that stock is within just a few seconds. And then once you have that, the trading and income tab is really designed to be as flexible as possible and give you as many ideas regardless of what your views are, even if you disagree with our views. So if you think IBM is bearish, we'll show you 3 bearish strategies and you can play around with them and modify them. And this is really the power of this platform. It allows you to modify and analyze very quickly and compare different strategies so you know definitively which strategy is best for you. And especially I get a lot of questions about the daily play. We send out ideas every single day. I should mention that these daily plays, they're not recommendations to trade any particular securities. They're simply ideas. They're ideas that we vetted for the individual stocks. So we typically try to find strong stocks in strong sectors or weak stocks in weak sectors. We do a little bit of fundamental research on the stock as well to make sure it's fundamentally sound before we come up with the idea. And once we come up with the idea, we will typically default to the strategy that OptionsPlay tells us to. So the call debits, the call vertical for bullish ideas, and the put vertical for bearish ideas. Now, this does not necessarily mean it's the best trade to make. These are simply ideas and a way to potentially trade them. Each one of you has different preferences, and that's really what our platform is designed to do. So if you don't like to trade debit spreads and you prefer to trade credit spreads, but you agree with our Walgreens analysis, this tool allows you to very quickly come in here and say, I'm bullish, but I want to trade a credit spread. How can I go about doing that? And you can set that up very easily. Compare them with the strategy that we're telling you to do and see if you can find a better strategy. If you can, go ahead and trade it. That's really the power of this platform, is that once you have an idea, the possibilities are endless to what you can do with that idea. And that's really the power of this platform. Don't just follow our ideas blindly. Take some time, explore the platform, because chances are you might be able to find a trade that's better than ours. So with that, I'm just going to bring this back to the slides real quick because, like I said, I wanted to end this presentation talking about risk management. And because I get a lot of questions from traders asking me about what types of returns you can get from trading. People who follow our daily play, some people say, hey, I made a lot of money on this trade, or I lost some money on this trade. So one of the things that unifies all of us as traders is that we have limited amounts of money that we can play with. And that's really why the success to a good trader is not how good their strategy is, but how good their risk management is. And I tend to see a lot of people overlook this very important piece of trading, even though it's really, really simple. Risk management is not complicated, even though it sounds pretty complicated. It's actually a really, really simple rule. And it's simply risking no more than a certain percentage of your account for every single trade. Now, most professionals will tell you they risk no more than 1 to 2% of their trade per 1 to 2% of their account per trade. So what that means is that if, let's say you have a $20,000 options trading account, you should risk no more than approximately $400 per trade. And the reason that professionals stick to this risk management rule is because when you're risking let's say you're risking 2% of your account per trade, then you need to have 50 consecutive losing trades in order for you to blow up your account. Which hopefully, if you have that many consecutive trades, at some point you would say, maybe my strategy is not working, maybe I should reevaluate my strategy or try something different. It's usually when we see people that are risking 5, 10, 15, or even 50% of their account per trade, that's when you are effectively doomed from the very beginning. Because if you're risking 20% of your account, then it only takes 5 losing trades in a row for you to blow up your entire account. And even if you just have 3 losing trades in a row, you've lost 60% of your account. To try to come back from that is nearly impossible. Versus if you're risking 2% of your account, you can have 10 losing trades in a row and still have 80% of your account intact. And just try to come back from that is a lot easier than when you're risking 20, 30, 40, 50% of your account just in a few trades. So that's really why the most important piece of trading is risk management, and it's really simple, and it's not that difficult to stick to that if you can do this properly. So in the example that I have here today, if you're risking $400 per trade, if you're trading an option that costs $100, that means you can afford to trade 4 contracts. If you're trading an option that costs $400, then you can only trade 1 contract. So this is where you depending on the size of your account, you can calculate the appropriate number of contracts to trade. But the one thing that you want to keep consistent is the amount of money you're willing to risk per trade, and that will change the number of contracts that you can trade drastically depending on what types of trades that you make. But this is a very, very important piece of trading success is risk management, so I do want to spend a little bit of time on that. So with that, I want to thank everyone for taking the time out to view this video. I hope you have found this video useful in understanding how we built this platform, why we built it, and giving you some examples of how to use our platform and the different use cases that you have with it. Like I said, this is just an introductory video to give you a glimpse of the full platform as a whole. We do a lot more videos on specific trading strategies, so I'll be doing a lot more in the next few weeks, telling you about how to use this platform for security analysis, talking about trading strategies, and doing ones on things like trading earnings, trading income strategies, and best practices for doing that. So I hope you guys will join me for some of those videos that will be coming. Once again, thank you for taking the time out this afternoon. I hope you have found this useful, and have a great afternoon. Thank you.